Hey guys, my name is Amanda Dittlinger and I am a neurodivergent woman. I have autism, ADHD, aphantasia, and a rare memory disorder called SDAM, and I talk about all those on this channel. I've started this video like 5 different times. I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome, but sometimes it's harder to try to do a scripted video than just kind of talk to y'all and just turn on the camera and just let the video go where it needs to go. I really tried. I wanted to have like bullet points and find topics, but guys, my brain is just not working that way today. And I could put the camera away and try this again another day, and maybe I will, but honestly, I prefer these kind of videos better anyway. They don't necessarily support the algorithm. The algorithm likes a nice little bundled up, titled, video, and I'm sure a lot of y'all do too, but this is a lived, real experience, and it's just how my brain is working today. So what I wanted to talk about was imposter syndrome, and when I tried to do it very formally, my words just kept getting jumbled up. So instead, I'm just gonna talk like I'm talking to my friend and trying to explain this. So imposter syndrome happens very often in autistic women. I mean, it could happen to any autistic person, but it seems like a higher rate in women. And it basically is when you doubt your diagnosis. And it can happen for self-diagnosed people and medically diagnosed people. And I think one of the hard reasons why it was for me to talk about it is because when you have imposter syndrome, you're doubting yourself, and you don't want to say it out loud. You don't want to give power to anybody else out there, like, oh, well, if she doubts herself, then, obviously it's fake. And I have a medical diagnosed autistic sheet of paper, and even with that, it is still so easy to just doubt the diagnosis. And the reason why is because of something called masking. So when you get a late diagnosis, you have spent your entire life masking your autism. I had no idea I was autistic until I kind of stumbled into a diagnosis. I was not looking for one. Circumstances in life led me to it, and it was like, oh, wow, I'm autistic. Okay, that explains so much. So, yes, I did think I was neurotypical up until I was told I wasn't. Even though I always felt like something was off. Like I always felt like I was outside the groups. I was very extroverted, or still am very extroverted, but have a very hard time ever feeling like I'm part of the group. I had friends in high school and whatnot, but I never really had like that best friend. I never got invited to parties and sleepovers. I was always, I had friends at school. People talked to me at school, but then at home, other than my Girl Scout troop, which I think was literally the best thing that could have happened in my life. Without my Girl Scout troop, I think my autistic symptoms might have come out earlier. And I mean, for better or worse, I don't know. You can't go back, right? But Girl Scouts gave me like a sense of belonging that I would not have had otherwise. They gave me activities to do with groups of people that I struggled to find in like a school environment. I was never able to join clubs or anything like that just because it was all so very overwhelming. And I always wanted to like join the drama club, or I was an architecture student and there was clubs with that. I always wanted to join those things, but doing new things was very hard for me. Starting with Girl Scouts in first grade, and then it was continual. So even though we would do new things within the Girl Scout system, I had a support group already in place of people who were doing these things with me. So anyway, yeah, I was able to mask my symptoms of autism throughout my entire life, always not quite fitting in, but never knowing why. And when I say mask my symptoms, it's not like you do it on purpose. Autistic people aren't masking on purpose. What they're doing is trying to fit in. Every human wants to be included. They want to be accepted by a friend group. They want to be successful at whatever they're, trying to achieve. And for an autistic person, this happens by mimicking. You see somebody that you admire do something and people accept it, so then you do that thing, or you try to. So subconsciously you go through life and you do these things and you tweak and you learn and you try something and you lose a friend, and so you think, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. And 42 years goes by and then you don't realize that you were actually autistic all along. So yeah, imposter syndrome it pops up because if you're so good at masking, sometimes you wonder, am I actually autistic? But yes, it's you can question yourself in one moment and then like totally laugh out loud because it's like, oh my God, yes, I'm so freaking autistic. Like once you see the autistic and you are seeing everything interact through that lens, then you're like, yep, that makes sense. That's why my brain works that way. Yep, I struggle with this and that, and like sensory issues and communication issues. And this morning I typed out on a Facebook group, a mom's group I'm in, I typed out this whole big long thing about the elf on the shelf because I do not understand why the two groups of moms that go after each other about Elf on the Shelf. There's the two groups of moms. There's the ones that really love the elf, and there's the group that don't love the elf. And they seem to be at war with each other. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're from another country, Americans have this thing called Elf on the Shelf. And some American moms take it, and parents, I'm sure dads get in on it too, but they take it and they like go crazy and they do all these like elaborate tableaus with the elf and the scenery and get the elf into trouble. And it's just like little mischievous elf. And then other families, like what we did, would just take the elf and move it around, and it's almost like playing hide and seek. And every morning the kids wake up and look for the elf, and it was in a different hiding spot. And every night it flies away to the North Pole. Well, then there's the people who just absolutely hate the elf, hate everything it has to represent and whatnot. And every single year there are like the moms go at each other's throats about this stupid elf. I mean, it's a lovely elf. I love the tradition of the elf. I just move it around. That's all we do. We don't do crazy antics. But you know what? It's the moms that do, that's their love language. They love doing it for their kids, and it makes Christmas exciting and fun and enjoyable. And the reason why I'm going into this is like, I typed out this whole big long thing about asking the moms, like, why are we going to war? Like, just let the moms who love the elf love it. And if you don't love it, then do something else with your kids and don't do the elf, and it's fine. But I deleted it because it's like there's some kind of social ramifications about this elf that are just flying over my head that I don't get. Like, I do not understand why people get so attached to their opinion on the elf. And this could go for a lot of different topics, but I'm sticking with the elf because the elf, while it's crazy that these women fight over it, at least it's a kind of safe topic to fight over. Although, I don't know. I'm telling you. Some of the comments get mean. But anyway, and again, that's the thing. Like, I have read stuff on Facebook comments where I don't get sarcasm very often. I don't get written sarcasm especially. And I will comment back and then like, oh my God, I was just joking. I'm like, okay, sorry, I didn't know. So, yeah. Autism, check. But, see, yesterday, I had this thing about phone calls, and I was talking to some women about phone calls. Like, I get paralyzed fear with making phone calls. I've gotten better. I've put almost like occupational therapy type tactics in place to work through and be able to do a phone call. But it's not like, oh, okay, I'm just dreading this phone call, I don't want to do it, let me no, I literally have to take steps to make a phone call. Where you hear neurotypical people say, oh yeah, I prefer texting, I hate making phone calls. And when you hear comments like that, you think it's the same for them as it is for you. But I'm starting to suspect it is not. I think when they say, a neurotypical person says they hate making a phone call, it is a completely different use of the word hate as a person with autism who absolutely struggles with making phone calls because you cannot see the person. I'm on a slow auditory processor. When they ask me a question, sometimes it takes me a longer time to hear them or process what they've said for me to be able to answer. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna watch this video back and edit and hope I actually made some kind of point there. But the main thing that when I sat down I wanted to talk about was that, you know, getting a late autism diagnosis is a process, and I think imposter syndrome is part of that process, just because it's very hard to know what the other brain type is thinking when they say certain things. And when they say that they don't like loud noises, or that they don't, you know, understand sarcasm, or any kind of autistic trait, if a neurotypical person takes that and says that they also, you identify and you're like, oh, well, maybe that's me too. But I think language can be tricky in that way, and unless you get down to the nitty gritty of it, what one person's experiencing when they say they don't like to do something and what an autistic person is saying can be vastly different experiences. Anyway, I'm going to leave y'all with that. I hope that you enjoy my channel. Make sure you hit the like button and leave down a comment, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.